Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, what is up? What is good? The king of lightning is here today, bringing you guys and gals Boku no Hero Academia Season 2, episodes 14 through 16, review slash discussion, lengthy, but we do have quite a few things to talk about when it comes to this season of Boku no Hero thus far. 3 episodes deep. I do apologize for not getting up the reviews on time. It is what it is, but from now on, we will do our best, our very best, to be on time. That being said, the first thing I want to talk about, quite random, but I did enjoy it thoroughly, was in episodes 15, but mainly 16, when you see my favorite character in the series, Bakugo, essentially plug in cheat codes for the race, because this dude is flying. He's, even though he still comes in 3rd place, the dude is practically flying across the entire racing area. That was really cool to me, because I love Bakugo. And Bakugo, don't thought the entirety of UA to be just a massive dick, but this dude just flying. Set to the Cole Stadium. I pledge to be #1, to be the very best. My dude, and it's not arrogance. He is purposefully putting himself in a corner. So when it comes to character, yeah, I'm solving character here. When it comes to character, Bakugo, from season 1, he has matured. He has matured in the sense of he really wants to test himself truly. So when he makes that bold statement, I'm gonna be #1, it's not because he's arrogant or he's confident. When in the past, if he would do something of the sort, he would laugh and he'd be like, haha, you all are plebs, I'm #1. No. I'm gonna be #1, and I'm not gonna say much because my actions are gonna speak much louder than my words. I like that, like Bakugo. Making gains.
Making all kinds of gains.
I love Bakugo, bro. Love him. So, I just wanted to start with character right there because Bakugo, favorite character in the series, and if you've got a problem with that, middle fingers up. That being said, let's focus here on episodes 14 through 16 as a whole. So first and foremost, the animation. Overall, animation was fine. It really shines more so at the beginning of episode 14, where you have like the Midoriya narration scene where he talks about how he becomes the greatest hero of all time, and like you see him fighting these shadowy villain-ish figures. Like, that was pretty cool stuff. Midoriya normally is not a badass, but when he is badass, he's fairly badass. And then from then on, it becomes like standard animation, nothing too noteworthy. Episode 15, at the end, when you have Todoroki become like Iceman and just, like an ice wave, freezes all these 0-point villain robots. That was beastly, man. How he formed the ice from the ground itself and how like it spread across like his area. He did the ice wave and the ice itself on the robots, it looked almost pixelated, like digital. That was, that was sexy. I'm a Todoroki, okay. Nasty. And then episode 16 overall, because it was more action-oriented, the animation was better as a whole because it was smoother and also it had more of a dynamic feel to it in a lot of scenes. So when you had Midoriya use the explosion as a means of jetpacking forward even further than Todoroki and Bakugo were, and then how Todoroki and Bakugo, they're chasing down Midoriya, how he does that flip, lands on them, he slams a piece of metal down with the rope, and then he continues to projectile even further, and then how he's just hauling ass, like Usain Bolt status. That was good. So when it comes to animation, so far, it is consistent with season 1, no rise or no dip, which is a good yet bad thing. So it's overall okay compared to season 1. Now when it comes to pacing and structure of the episodes, relatively fine and straightforward because it makes sense as to what's going on. The only one that's really different is episode 14. Where episode 14 lightly touches upon stuff that happened in the previous season because it starts off the 2nd season with the aftermath of the previous season. So the whole Nomu thing, All Might talking about how he could only be in muscle form for about an hour and a half, world and the country react to what happened in UA, the teachers talking about Shigaraki, how he was a man-child, was he really the person that was behind all this kind of stuff, the villains that were captured, I think it was like 72 or 75 villains, small-time villains, but what actually compelled them to join this quote-unquote man-child, stuff like that. So from the pacing slash structure standpoint, you have a touch-up of Season 1 at the beginning of Episode 14 and towards like the later half of Episode 14. Then at the end of Episode 14, then we focus now more so on UA, where it's like Midoriya, you have to make a name for yourself in the sports festival, that kind of stuff. Episode 15 and Episode 16 are more tailored towards the UA Sports Festival, where it's pre-sports festival class 1B. You have the support class, you have the business class. They come in there, they're trying to scope out class 1A because they have experience tangling with villains, and of course that made national news and probably global news. Then you have the characters list out like their ambitions, their goals. You have Todoroki and Midoriya, they kind of like square off. Bakugo sees that shit like, yo, Todoroki, you're messing with the wrong kid. It should be me. I'm number one. So essentially, episodes 15 and 16 are strictly tailored to the sports festival itself. Very little to do outside of that. Moving on from there, we have the story progression, where we have now moved away from villains, and now we're trying to appease heroes from across the world, trying to get recognition so we can be sidekicks when we do graduate from UA Academy. How we have not only rivals in our own class as 1A students, but also in 1B, in 1C, the support groups, that kind of stuff. So in a nutshell, it is shifting from the events of the attempted assassination of All Might via the villains, via the Shiragi group, going to the UA Sports Festival, and then meeting new rivals who are now going to be standing in the way of our protagonists, of our main characters, however you want to say it. Then finally, we have the characterization, where these episodes I think really do shine the most. And this mainly comes from the ambitions and the desires of the students of UA and how they want to be successful in this sports festival so they can make names for themselves for various reasons. So for Uraraka, she explains how she wants money for her family's construction business so they don't have to struggle as much. When it comes to Ida, a character who I'm honestly not really a fan of, Ida to me is really hit or miss. Like sometimes he's really funny. Most of the time he's kind of like cringe, really cringe. But in this case, he wants to showcase what he's got to his older brother, someone that he has admired since his childhood. We have Midoriya, who is clearly being pushed forward by the weight of responsibility, the responsibility of carrying the powers of One for All. When you have All Might tell him, you need to make a name for yourself, you need to get out there and show the world who you are, I am here. And he understands that All Might, he's running out of time. All Might, he says that he can no longer be the symbol of peace. His powers are waning and they're going to Midoriya. Now Midoriya has to be able to build a strong foundation to properly utilize the powers of All Might, One for All. And on top of that, he cannot falter in his ambition to take up that mantle. The torch is being passed from All Might to Midoriya, and All Might is watching. So even though All Might, he feels like he's put too much of a burden on Midoriya, the first stage of the sports festival, he passed with flying colors. So that's Midoriya's character development and characterization. So he's developing because he is slowly maturing because mainly of the weight of responsibility that he has gotten from All Might. As I've explained before, Bakugo making gains. Moving on from there, we have the foundation of what is clearly going to be character development / characterization for Todoroki. This is clearly happening. The fact that he's now starting to butt heads with Midoriya, and how he knows that All Might has his eyes on Midoriya because his powers are very similar to All Might's powers. Little does he know that they are the same powers. But his father, we find out, is the second top hero. And episode 2, he states that he wished that they had brought something bigger and better than the 0-point villains, because his old man is watching. Basically, it's, in a sense, number 1 versus number 2 between Todoroki and Midoriya, with Bakugo kind of thrown in there as well. For the sake of characterization, we have that, as well as clear foundational buildup for future character development. And that's really it so far when it comes to Class 1A. Nothing really for Class 1B aside from character introductions. So all in all, the best episode so far among all these episodes was episode 16. Easy, because the impact it has when Midoriya surpasses Bakugo and Todoroki in the way he did without using a quirk, with using his brain. To be quite honest with you, when I first read this series, I was hoping that Midoriya would be Batman, essentially, where he'd have no quirk, but he could still be a very prominent hero by using his intelligence. But when he was blessed with the powers via All Might, that of course killed my hopes and dreams for that. So when I see Midoriya overcome these obstacles using his intelligence alone, that to me I find very appealing, because it reminds me of what I wanted Midoriya to be. And of course, it's a core component of his character, and it will be utilized throughout the entire future of this series, obviously. So Midoriya made a huge impact. Bakugo made a big impact, as did Todoroki. Characters like Momo, though, the perv kid, I forgot his name was. Mineta, like how he's like just latching on her at the end. She's like, oh, this wasn't how it was supposed to be. He's like, yeah, I just killed 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm like, yo, this kid is hilarious. The main impact, obviously, Midoriya. When Midoriya won in the way he did, that impact is very similar to, let's say, Gon or Naruto in their respective series. And this moment in the series can be, like, let's say, one of those defining moments that makes a lot of people gravitate towards that series. Like, that's how good of a moment it was in episode 16. That's how good it was. So, that being said, folks, let me know your thoughts on the matter at hand. Episode 16, the best episode of the 3 thus far, I would say, by far. Even though episode 15 had a pretty beastly end. So, I'm going to see you cats later. I'll be reviewing episode 17 on time, probably. We'll see how things go. So, of course, rate the video. It is not that hard to do. You have a device at your disposal. It is called Zamaosu. And you use Zamaosu to rate the video. Click, 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 as well as subscribe, as well as join the notification squad. Click on that bell, join the squad. And if you want to, comment in the comment section as well. And I will see you cats later. Have a nice goddamn day.